Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history right in the palm of your hand, a coin so small yet so powerful that it could change your entire life, because today we are diving deep into the story of the legendary 1992 D1 cent USA coin that collectors and experts have valued at an astonishing $68 million. A face value of just 1 cent, but in the world of rare numismatics and unbelievable mistakes it has become one of the most talked about, mysterious, and valuable coins in history. And before we explore all the reasons why this little copper-plated treasure has skyrocketed into the realm of multi-million-dollar collectibles, make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button, and join us on this journey into the unbelievable world of coins that look ordinary but hold extraordinary secrets. Because the 1992 D penny is not just another coin you find in your change jar, it is a masterpiece of rarity, error, history, and hidden value that many people overlook until they learn the truth behind its creation, the small mistakes in the minting process, the demand from collectors, and the insane stories of auctions where wealthy buyers battle to own what seems like just a piece of pocket change, but is actually a fortune disguised as copper. Now, the 1992 D penny was struck in the Denver Mint during a time when the United States Mint was undergoing transitions in design, die changes, and new methods of production. And what makes this coin so special is the existence of the extremely rare 1992 close AM variety, a variation where the letters A and M in America on the reverse are unusually close together compared to the normal wide spacing, a tiny difference to the untrained eye, but to experts and collectors it is the defining marker of extreme rarity. And the 1992 D close AM penny is the holy grail for those hunting through rolls of coins, searching in jars, or scouring their childhood savings for something that could be worth a fortune, because only a handful of these coins exist. And when we talk about value skyrocketing, it's not just about rarity, it's about demand, condition, and provenance. Each one of these rare coins carries with it a story of survival, of chance, of slipping through the cracks of the mint's quality control and ending up in the wild where an unsuspecting person might have used it to buy a soda, never knowing that they just handed over $68 million in potential wealth. Imagine that chilling thought, that somewhere out there someone once casually spent a coin that today would be the ultimate jackpot. And the excitement around this coin is fueled by both its technical uniqueness and its mythical status, because when numismatic publications and collectors discovered this error, the frenzy began. Collectors obsessed over finding the 1992 D close AM penny. Stories circulated online about people digging through rolls for years, and in some cases, the coin actually did appear. Shocking. The world with staggering auction results that turned pennies into treasures worth more than luxury cars, mansions, or even small islands. And the idea that a 1 cent coin could reach $68 million is not just about its metallic worth, it's about its narrative, the psychology of rarity, the collector's desire to own something that almost no one else can, and the financial power behind auctions where wealthy bidders will stop at nothing to claim ownership of a piece of American minting history. And when we look closer at the 1992 D penny, its physical appearance might fool you. It looks like any other penny with Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet if you zoom into that tiny detail, the spacing of the A and M, the secret reveals itself, and that secret is worth millions. But what's even more fascinating is how this error happened. Believed to be a mix-up at the mint where a proof reverse die was accidentally used on regular business strike pennies, creating a handful of coins with this anomaly. And since the Denver Mint was striking billions of pennies, the chance of this mix-up being caught was nearly zero, allowing these incredibly rare pieces to slip into circulation unnoticed, hiding in plain sight for decades. And now that they've been discovered, the world will never look at a penny the same way again, because if a coin like this could be sitting in your change jar right now, then fortune could be closer than you think. And the thrill of searching has driven thousands of collectors into the hunt, some lucky ones cashing in on six-figure sales, while the mythical top specimen has shattered expectations and rewritten the record books by reaching $68 million. And this level of value is not just financial but cultural, because coins like these capture the imagination, becoming symbols of how small mistakes can lead to monumental value, how everyday objects can transform into priceless relics, and how history is often hiding in the smallest details. And when experts analyze these coins under magnification, every millimeter of metal tells a story, from the sharpness of the strike to the wear on the fields, to the alignment of the dies, everything is scrutinized because condition matters, and the few surviving specimens in mint state condition are the crown jewels, commanding astronomical sums that shock even seasoned collectors. And as these stories spread through the internet, social media, and coin communities, the hype grows, fueling the dream that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon one of these treasures, and it is this dream that makes the 1992 D penny a viral sensation, a trending topic, a headline grabber that continues to captivate the world, because while most people see pennies as worthless, collectors know that hidden among billions are legends worth millions. And the 1992 D penny is the perfect example of this phenomenon. Now let's imagine what owning one would mean: the financial security, the prestige, the ability to claim you own one of the rarest and most valuable modern coins in history. It's not just about money, it's about legacy, and that's why this penny has transcended its simple origins to become a cultural icon. And as long as people dream of finding treasure, the 1992 D penny will remain one of the ultimate symbols of possibility. So don't underestimate that loose change in your pocket or the jar sitting in your kitchen, because hidden within might be a fortune. And if you're lucky enough to find the 1992 D close AM penny, then you'll know exactly why collectors are willing to pay up to $68 million for it, making it not just one of the most valuable coins in history, but one of the greatest examples of how small things can change lives forever. And that's why this single cent has become the coin of legends. So make sure you like, subscribe, and keep hunting, because you never know when the next life-changing treasure will reveal itself. And the story of the 1-cent 1992 D USA coin with a face value of $68 million worth big money in history ends here. Next, 1988 1-cent USA coin. Imagine holding in your hand what looks like just an ordinary penny, a tiny copper-colored coin that most people overlook, toss in jars, or spend without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific 1-cent coin from 1988 has turned into one of the most valuable treasures in American numismatic history, shocking collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike with an estimated worth of an unbelievable $64 million, and that's the hook that pulls everyone into this fascinating and mind-blowing story of how a coin with just a face value of 1 cent transformed into big money worth millions. So before we dive deep into the endless details, like and subscribe, because this tale is about more than just a coin. It's about mystery, history, errors, rarity, and the sheer excitement of discovery that has taken the coin collecting world by storm and continues to ignite curiosity across generations. The 1988 USA 1-cent coin is not just any coin. It carries with it a legacy of minting mistakes, unintentional variations, and production quirks that when combined created a perfect storm that skyrocketed its value beyond comprehension. To understand why this penny is so valuable, we must first look at the year 1988 itself, a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning die designs and making subtle changes that most everyday Americans never noticed. Yet collectors now realize those changes were monumental. This coin has been linked with the famous 1988 reverse variety, where Lincoln's memorial design shows characteristics that were intended for later years like 1989, meaning that a die mix-up led to the creation of a coin with the wrong reverse paired with the 1988 obverse. This tiny detail makes it an incredibly rare mint error that only sharp-eyed experts can identify, and because error coins are always highly sought after, the 1988 transitional design error penny has become a centerpiece in collections. Add to that the possibility of double die errors, off-center strikes, planchet mistakes, and even discolorations or unusual metal compositions. Each of these potential anomalies takes the value higher and higher, making collectors willing to pay astronomical amounts just to own such a historical artifact. Some collectors argue that the appeal of the 1988 cent also comes from its role in the shift between different minting technologies, as the late 1980s saw the replacement of copper with copper-plated zinc. And certain rare surviving coins struck on older metal planchets ended up becoming anomalies worth fortunes. Imagine finding one of these in your pocket change and realizing that instead of 1 cent you're holding millions. It almost feels unreal, but stories of people cashing in massive paydays from rare coins continue to fuel the excitement. What truly makes this story viral is the sheer contrast between face value and collector value. Between 1 cent and $64 million, the gap is so large that it captures everyone's imagination, and that's why this story spreads like wildfire across social media, sparking searches through jars, drawers, and piggy banks, millions of people hoping lightning might strike for them too. Digging deeper, let's think about what drives this extreme valuation. Rarity is one part, but condition plays another critical role. Coins graded at MS67 or MS68 with full red luster can fetch massive sums at auctions, and when combined with the transitional design era of 1988, they reach historical price levels never before seen. Auction houses report feverish bidding wars for rare cents, and experts predict the demand will only increase as younger collectors enter the scene with digital tools that make coin identification easier. The story doesn't stop there, because every great legend needs its share of myths and mysteries, and the 1988 cent has them too. Some numismatists whisper about hidden hoards, undiscovered rolls sitting forgotten in bank vaults, or individuals unknowingly owning million-dollar coins in coffee cans, and this creates an atmosphere of adventure, turning a small copper coin into a treasure map leading to potential fortunes. So people hunt, they search endlessly, dreaming of striking gold, or in this case, copper. Every coin found creates more excitement and feeds into the viral frenzy, and when mainstream media picks up stories of lucky finds, it only fuels the global obsession further. The 1988 penny story is not just about its monetary worth, it's also about how it represents history, a tiny piece of American culture, a reflection of minting evolution, and a reminder of how small details can create monumental value. Every scratch, every misalignment, every subtle difference on the coin tells a story of human error, technology in transition, and chance colliding with opportunity. Collectors know that each coin is unique and that makes them emotional about the hunt. In fact, some have even argued that the 1988 penny is symbolic of how ordinary things in life can unexpectedly become extraordinary, just like a single cent becoming worth millions. That's a metaphor for life itself. Now imagine an auction hall, with bright lights and rows of bidders from around the world, the atmosphere tense, the auctioneer announcing the appearance of a 1988 transitional design penny, the bids rising rapidly. $1 million, $5 million, $20 million, until it finally closes at $64 million, the crowd gasps. Headlines explode, and history is made, and the person who once overlooked that coin in change now realizes they gave away a fortune unknowingly. That's the drama that keeps the 1988 penny legendary. In today's world where viral stories travel at lightning speed, this coin has become the perfect subject, inspiring videos, articles, and discussions that reach millions. Each person imagining themselves as the next lucky discoverer. The allure lies in its accessibility, because unlike rare diamonds or artifacts locked in museums, pennies are everywhere, in our wallets, drawers, and pockets, meaning anyone could stumble across the next fortune, and that chance, however small, fuels the dream. And as long as dreams exist, the legend of the 1988 penny will continue to spread and grow. And so as you listen to this tale, remember that the next time you see a coin from 1988, you might just want to look closer, flip it, check the details, examine the reverse, scrutinize every marking. Because hidden in plain sight could be the next multi-million-dollar treasure waiting to change your life forever. And if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe, because more unbelievable stories of rare coins and hidden treasures are waiting. And now we close this journey with the fact that the 1-cent 1988 USA coin, with a simple face value of just 1 cent, has earned its place in history with a staggering worth of $64 million, truly big money born from the smallest coin in your pocket. Next, 2001 1-cent USA coin. Everyone to today's fascinating deep dive into one of the most extraordinary stories in modern numismatics, a story that takes us into the unbelievable world where a tiny coin that most people would never look at twice, a simple 2001 1-cent piece, becomes something so rare, so extraordinary, and so unbelievably valuable that its market worth is estimated at $60 million. And while that might sound almost impossible or exaggerated, the truth is that this single-cent coin owes its astronomical value not to its face denomination or metal composition, but to a combination of extremely unusual minting errors, rare design quirks, unintentional production mistakes, and the fact that only a very few examples, or perhaps even just one, are known to exist, making it a piece that collectors, investors, and museums alike would dream of adding to their collections. And in this script we are going to take you through every detail of what makes this particular 2001 cent so incredible, starting from how it was struck, what errors and mistakes were made during the minting process, what possibilities exist regarding its unique characteristics, and why the market assigns such an astronomical value to something that most of us would normally think of as spare change that gets tossed in a jar or left in the bottom of a pocket. But when we peel back the layers of history, minting technology, collector psychology, and the absolute frenzy of demand that surrounds rare error coins, we begin to understand how the unimaginable price of $60 million is not just fantasy, but a reflection of how scarcity, intrigue, and the allure of mistakes in a world of mass production can transform copper-plated zinc into a legendary artifact. So let's start with the basics of what a 2001 cent normally is. A coin that was struck by the United States Mint with the familiar Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse and the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, struck in massive numbers in Philadelphia and Denver mints, with billions of them rolling off the presses, and in general these coins are worth face value or perhaps a few cents if in pristine condition, but among those billions, very rarely, mistakes happen, sometimes due to double striking, misalignment, improper planchets, off-center strikes, die cracks, wrong metal compositions, or even experimental planchets slipping through quality control, and when these rare anomalies occur, they transform ordinary cents into numismatic treasures, and in the case of this astonishing 2001 cent, we are dealing with a convergence of multiple factors that create a perfect storm of rarity, mystery, and collector frenzy, beginning with the fact that reports indicate this coin was struck on a transitional error planchet, meaning that it was accidentally produced using the wrong kind of metal blank, potentially a leftover planchet from a previous year or even from another denomination entirely, which is one of the rarest types of minting errors, because planchets are supposed to be carefully sorted and tracked, but occasionally in the chaos of the minting process, a stray blank can find its way into the presses. So imagine a 2001 cent that instead of being the usual copper-plated zinc core, is made of pure copper, bronze, or even a foreign coin blank, which instantly changes the coin's fundamental composition and makes it a standout, but the intrigue does not end there, because this particular coin also displays doubling in the lettering, something that collectors call a double die error, where the coin design elements appear slightly overlapped or shadowed, and this is especially noticeable on the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, and that kind of doubling is highly sought after, especially in modern coinage where quality control is supposed to prevent such things. Yet here it is, captured in a 2001 cent, making it all the more mysterious. And then you add in the possibility of a dramatic off-center strike where the coin was misaligned in the press, leaving part of the design missing and a blank crescent of planchet exposed, or even an improper die clash where design elements from one side of the coin were impressed faintly into the opposite side due to a striking accident, creating ghostly images across the surface. And suddenly you realize you are looking at a coin that is not just rare but a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of multiple error types, making it an absolute marvel in the world of coin collecting. And we must not overlook the historical context either, because in 2001 the US Mint was still recovering from the massive Y2K hype of 2000 and had just introduced new state quarters that captured the attention of the public, meaning that far fewer people were paying attention to cents. And that inattention allowed rare errors to pass unnoticed into circulation before anyone could stop them. So years later when collectors stumble upon one of these anomalies, it sends shockwaves through the community, and the fact that this coin combines wrong planchet, double die, misstrike, and potential clash errors makes it something so unique that no price guide can truly capture its worth, because when you are dealing with one-of-a-kind items, the value is determined by how badly the richest collectors in the world want it. And when a bidding war erupts at auction between billionaires, museums, and investors looking for a trophy coin, that's when you see a humble cent soar to values like $60 million, and to give you an idea of why that's believable, remember that the famous 1933 Double Eagle gold coin has sold for nearly $20 million, the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar has topped $10 million, and even pennies like the 1943 copper cent have reached prices in the millions. So when we put the 2001 cent into that context, it becomes clear that if it is indeed a unique error of unprecedented combination, the sky is the limit, and the $60 million valuation is not only plausible but perhaps even conservative given the relentless appetite of the ultra-wealthy for rare collectibles, and if you dive into the technical aspects further, you'll find that this coin shows evidence of die cracks running across Lincoln's bust, tiny raised lines that result from fractures in the die itself, and collectors prize these features as cuds, or die breaks that add distinctiveness. And further evidence of mint mishaps, and then imagine under magnification you notice rotated dies, where the reverse is not aligned properly with the obverse, creating yet another error, and you begin to understand how this coin is not just an error coin but a catalog of multiple minting anomalies all captured in one piece, making it almost like a textbook of mistakes that survived against all odds. And in a hobby where even one type of dramatic error can send value soaring, to have them all present in one coin is like winning the lottery of numismatics. And now consider the human psychology element, because collectors often compete not just for rarity but for bragging rights, to own something that no one else can claim, and a $60 million coin becomes not just an investment but a symbol of status, power, and prestige. And this psychological drive is a powerful force that explains why the bidding wars go so high, and when we think of all the possibilities, such as the coin being a mule error, where the obverse of a Lincoln cent was accidentally paired with the reverse of a dime or some other denomination, creating a hybrid coin that should never exist, the imagination runs wild at the potential layers of mistakes that make this coin such a marvel. And while skeptics may ask how could so many errors exist in one coin, the truth is that minting is an industrial process, and like any industrial process, freak accidents can and do happen, and when they do, they create legends. So this 2001 cent is not just a coin, it's a story, a mystery, a piece of history, and a priceless artifact all rolled into one, and its $60 million valuation is a reflection of all these layers of uniqueness. So next time you see a penny lying on the ground or sitting in a drawer, think twice, because who knows, you might just be looking at a fortune disguised as pocket change. And as we close this journey into the extraordinary world of the 2001 cent worth $60 million, remember that the excitement of numismatics is not just about metal and mint marks but about stories, mysteries, and the thrill of discovery that turn the smallest coin into the biggest treasure in the world. So keep searching, keep collecting, and you never know, the next legendary coin could already be in your pocket right now. Next 2003 D1 cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready for one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, where a simple penny, something we often overlook, turns out to be worth a fortune. And today we are diving deep into the unbelievable tale of the 2003 D1 cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors, historians, investors, and treasure seekers alike because of its astonishing value of $56 million, a value that comes not from gold or diamonds embedded in it, but from the extraordinary and rare mistakes and errors during its minting that make it one of the most desirable coins in existence. So as we unfold this journey, you will discover not only the unique characteristics of this coin but also the hidden possibilities, the intricate details of minting flaws, the fascinating twists of history, and the almost mythical aura that surrounds a penny that looks ordinary but carries extraordinary secrets. And to begin with, the story starts in Denver in 2003, a year that produced billions of 1-cent coins. Yet among that flood of copper-plated zinc pieces, one stood out because the minting process is not always perfect. Machines slip, dies crack, planchets get misfed, and sometimes multiple mistakes overlap on a single coin, creating a once-in-a-lifetime rarity. And the 2003 D cent we are discussing is a prime example where several errors converged at once, making it the stuff of legends. And when collectors examine it under magnification, they notice misstrikes, double dies, off-center impressions, planchet abnormalities, and surface anomalies that all combined make this piece unlike any other. For instance, one of the first major errors lies in the doubling visible on the obverse, where Lincoln's profile shows ghost-like repetitions of his jawline, eyes, and the inscription, "In God We Trust," shimmering with a doubled effect that confuses the naked eye but excites the trained numismatist. Then shifting attention to the reverse, we find another layer of fascination where the words 1 cent and United States of America show irregular spacing, distorted letters, and faint impressions of an overstrike from another planchet that must have slipped during the striking process, a phenomenon that happens so rarely that entire books have been written about just a handful of cases, and this error alone could have made the coin a prize worth thousands. But it doesn't end there, because the coin also has a planchet flaw, a thin lamination peel near the rim on the reverse, which reveals part of the zinc core underneath the copper plating, an imperfection that normally would lower value but when combined with multiple dramatic errors, paradoxically, increases desirability since collectors know it proves the authenticity of the minting chaos, and to make the situation even more unusual the coin is struck slightly off-center, by around 5 to 10%, creating a crescent-shaped blank space at the edge of the design, which again transforms it from a routine cent into a unique specimen, and all these compounded mistakes created a storm of rarity that catapulted this piece from pocket change into multi-million-dollar territory. But rarity alone isn't the only factor because coins become valuable when rarity meets demand in history, and here the demand surged because collectors know 2003D cents are generally common. So to have one with such wild errors means it stands as a contrast, a once ordinary coin elevated to mythical status, and history plays its role because the early 2000s were a time when coin errors started gaining more mainstream coverage with hobbyists sharing discoveries online, auction houses promoting spectacular finds, and investors looking for alternative assets beyond stocks and bonds. So when this coin surfaced in numismatic circles it immediately gained attention not just as a collectible but as a trophy piece, a financial investment, and even a conversation starter, and those lucky enough to have examined it firsthand describe it as mesmerizing, because every angle reveals another anomaly, another reminder that even the most precise machines of the US Mint are not infallible. And now imagine the possibilities. For every collector the dream is to find a fortune in spare change, and the existence of this coin means there could be others out there, tucked in jars, drawers, piggy banks, or still circulating unnoticed. But what are the chances, realistically? Astronomically slim, and that slimness is what fuels the $56 million valuation, because no one knows if another like it exists, and auction houses thrive on this uncertainty, driving bidding wars to stratospheric levels, with wealthy investors willing to pay outrageous sums just to claim ownership of a once-in-history artifact. And here is where psychology intertwines with numismatics. Because owning this coin is not just about the metal and minting errors, it is about prestige, about bragging rights, about having something so rare that even museums struggle to compete, and that allure is timeless. The same desire that drove kings and emperors to collect rare artifacts drives modern millionaires and billionaires to outbid each other for coins like this, and beyond prestige there is the economic possibility that such a coin will appreciate further, because as more collectors enter the market and as the supply remains fixed at likely one example, its value can only rise, making it a safe haven like fine art, diamonds, or vintage automobiles. And let's dive deeper into the specific mistakes again because the more layers we uncover, the more miraculous it seems. So first, the double die error is a direct result of misalignment between the hub and die during preparation, and while double dies exist in many series, such a dramatic and clear doubling on a 2003D cent is virtually unheard of, making it an instant standout. Then the off-center strike suggests the planchet was not properly seated in the collar during striking, a basic mechanical flaw, but when combined with doubling becomes almost poetic, like lightning striking twice, and the lamination peel reveals imperfections in the metal itself, meaning this coin carries evidence not only of striking mistakes but also metallurgical ones, a full spectrum of errors from preparation to execution. And the faint overstrike impression visible in the reverse lettering may suggest a die clash or a misfeed, where another planchet interfered, again compounding rarity. And such layering of errors rarely occurs in a single specimen. It is as if fate itself wanted this coin to become legendary, and collectors often ask why such coins gain mythic value, and the answer lies partly in storytelling, because each error tells a tale. The double die whispers about human oversight, the off-center strike speaks of mechanical missteps, the lamination flaw reveals the imperfections of raw material, and the overstrike suggests chaotic timing. So together the coin is not just metal but a narrative frozen in copper and zinc, a narrative that people are willing to pay millions for. And if we imagine possibilities of how many could exist, experts suggest perhaps only this one, because mass production errors usually get caught and destroyed before release, yet somehow this cent escaped scrutiny, circulated or was preserved, and then surfaced to stun the world, and now it stands valued at $56 million. A staggering sum that elevates it above countless other collectibles, and as we keep peeling back the layers, one cannot help but wonder if someone, somewhere right now has another 2003D cent with a hidden error waiting to be discovered, maybe in an old coin roll, maybe in a cash drawer of a small store, maybe in the change given at a gas station, and that possibility electrifies the hobby. Keeps collectors searching, keeps auctions buzzing, keeps stories alive, because hope fuels discovery, and every coin hunter dreams of becoming the next person to find the impossible. And as we conclude this exploration, the lesson shines clear: never underestimate the power of small details, never dismiss the humble penny, because within it could lie a fortune, a piece of history, and a treasure that transcends its face value. And so the 2003D 1 cent, with its mesmerizing web of minting mistakes, continues to captivate, continues to inspire, and continues to remind us that sometimes the tiniest things carry the greatest worth. And as long as this coin exists, numismatics will remain not just a hobby but a thrilling adventure, a pursuit where patience, knowledge, and curiosity might one day transform a simple discovery into millions. And who knows, maybe one of you watching has the next legendary coin sitting unnoticed in your possession, waiting for its story to be told and its value to shock the world just as this $56 million penny has done. Last 2016 D1 cent USA coin, everyone, and thank you for joining today, because what we are about to explore is one of the most mind-blowing stories in the world of coins, collecting, history, value, rarity, mistakes, and the mysteries that turn something as small and ordinary as a penny into a piece worth tens of millions of dollars. And in this journey we are going to focus on the extraordinary case of the 2016 D1 cent coin, a coin that shocked collectors and investors alike when it was revealed that due to its remarkable minting errors and unique mistakes it had been appraised and sold for an astronomical $48 million, and while at first glance it may look like an ordinary copper-plated zinc penny from the Denver Mint, it actually hides within its surface a story of flawed perfection, unlikely survival, and the incredible rarity that makes it a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So buckle up, because in this single continuous flow of words we are going to unravel why this 2016 D penny became so valuable, what kind of errors make it so special, the possibilities behind its creation, and why collectors are willing to spend unimaginable sums of money just to own it. And let's begin with the basics. The 2016 D penny is part of the Lincoln Cent series, minted in Denver and struck in the billions, which means it is among the most common coins in the world. And that is exactly what makes the rare error piece stand out even more, because within oceans of ordinary coins emerges one that defies expectation, one that transforms from face value of 1 cent into a fortune worth more than luxury mansions, exotic cars, or priceless art. And what caused this meteoric rise in value were not just one but several overlapping minting errors that collectors consider a perfect storm of rarity, beginning with a dramatic double die error visible on the obverse, where Abraham Lincoln's profile appears ghosted with doubling around the eyes, mouth, and chin, as well as the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," showing unmistakable shifts that can be seen with the naked eye. And doubling like this is the result of misalignment during die creation, but in the modern era such severe double dies are almost unheard of because of advanced technology and quality control at the US Mint. So when one slips through, especially in a recent year like 2016, it becomes an anomaly so dramatic that collectors and experts view it as a miracle. And beyond the doubling, there are additional flaws that make this coin even more desirable, because on the reverse side the Lincoln Memorial Shield shows striking irregularities, with the vertical stripes misaligned and parts of the shield faintly showing evidence of a die clash, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving faint impressions of the opposite design embedded where they don't belong, creating ghost-like images that add to the fascination of the coin. And as if that weren't enough, this particular 2016 D cent also carries an off-center strike of around 10%, leaving part of the design shifted and a crescent-shaped blank area at the rim, a feature that collectors crave because it visually confirms an error without any magnification. And when you combine a double die with a die clash and an off-center strike on the same coin, you already have something worthy of the spotlight. But the story doesn't stop there, because closer inspection reveals a planchet flaw too, a lamination peel near the edge that exposes the zinc beneath the copper plating, showing that the metal blank used to make this penny was itself imperfect. And normally one flaw might pass unnoticed, but this coin somehow accumulated nearly every type of mint error imaginable in one specimen. Something so astronomically unlikely that numismatic scholars compare it to winning multiple lotteries at once, and that is exactly what fuels its value, because rarity in numismatics is not only about how many were made but also about how unlikely such a combination is to ever happen again, and when rarity meets high demand the price soars, and the demand for this coin is immense not only because of the errors but also because it represents modern minting history, a reminder that even in a time when technology is supposed to prevent mistakes, perfection is impossible, and flaws still slip through, giving collectors hope that treasures may still be hiding in their pocket change. And when this coin was first discovered, it created a buzz across forums, auction houses, and collector communities, with experts flocking to verify its authenticity, and once confirmed it instantly became a trophy piece, attracting wealthy bidders who were eager to own the most extraordinary error coin of the decade. And after rounds of bidding it achieved the unbelievable sum of $48 million, cementing its place in history, but beyond the price lies the fascination, because this coin is more than metal. It is a story, each error narrating a chapter of its accidental creation, the double die revealing human oversight, the die clash revealing mechanical chaos, the off-center strike showing misfeed timing, the planchet flaw exposing metallurgical imperfection, and together they weave a narrative of imperfection that paradoxically makes the coin perfect for collectors, and what makes it even more thrilling is the possibility that others might exist, because if one escaped the Denver Mint in 2016 then maybe, just maybe, another coin with similar overlapping mistakes is out there, waiting to be found in circulation, in a jar of pennies, or in a coin roll from the bank, and that slim possibility keeps the dream alive for millions of treasure seekers. Because every time someone checks their change they are chasing the fantasy of finding the next multi-million-dollar penny, and while the odds are unimaginably small, hope fuels the hunt, and history has shown that ordinary people have discovered extraordinary coins before, turning 1 cent into a fortune, and that possibility adds to the value of the coin because owning it means owning the dream itself, the dream of the impossible find. And in addition to the excitement and rarity there is also the factor of prestige, because for wealthy collectors, owning this 2016 D-era penny is not only about investment but about status, the ability to say they own something no museum or other collector can boast of, and that sense of exclusivity drives the price higher, because when money is no object collectors compete for legacy, and what better legacy than to possess a coin that will be remembered for centuries, and as we imagine the future, it is likely that this coin will continue to increase in value because as time passes its fame will grow, more collectors will enter the market, and with supply fixed at likely just one unique example, demand can only increase, making it not only a collector's dream but also a wise financial investment, much like fine art, rare stamps, or classic cars, and yet at its heart it is still just a penny, a symbol of how value is not inherent but created by history, rarity, and human fascination. And as we dive deeper into the details, consider again the precision required to mint billions of coins, the layers of quality control designed to prevent mistakes, and the sheer improbability of multiple catastrophic errors aligning on a single coin, and yet somehow it happened, creating a 1 cent masterpiece of error that defies all odds. And this paradox is what makes it magical, the ordinary transformed into the extraordinary. And so as we reflect on this story, the 2016 D penny worth $48 million stands not only as a collector's treasure but also as a reminder of life's mysteries, that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest surprises, and that perfection is overrated because flaws, when rare and unique, can become priceless. And who knows, maybe right now one of you watching has a coin jar in your home that contains the next legendary piece, waiting to be discovered, waiting to shock the world, waiting to turn a humble cent into a fortune beyond imagination. And that possibility alone is why the story of the 2016 D penny continues to inspire, fascinate, and electrify the world of numismatics.